Hi there, and welcome to chapter 6.4, absolute value. All right, essential question. How can you describe how far an object is from sea level? Absolute value. In this lesson, you'll find the absolute value of numbers, use absolute value to compare numbers in real life situations. So there is a definition for absolute value, simply 3 words: distance from zero. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, so let's take a look at the key idea first here. So the absolute value in words, the absolute value of a number is the distance between the number and zero on a number line. The absolute value of a number A is written as these brackets right here around A. So numbers, the absolute value of -2, here is -2 right here. Distance from zero is 2 units. So we have to go 2 units to get to zero. So the distance is 2. Distance cannot be negative. So distance is always positive. Keep that in mind. So how far are we from zero? We're 2 units to the left or 2 units to the right. So direction is separate from the distance. All right. And that's a lot more advanced in mathematics, where we talk about 2 things at the same time. It's more in the lines of like physics. So, and then we have the absolute value of +2. Well, +2 is 2 units to the right of zero. So the distance is still 2. So therefore, the absolute value of -2 is 2, and the absolute value of +2 is 2, because they're both 2 units from zero, one to the left and one to the right. Okay, so there's the key idea on absolute value. Okay, so example 1 says to finding absolute value. A, find the absolute value of 3. All right, so again, we're going to use a number line just like we did in the previous chapter sections. So I'm going to get my ruler out. I'm going to draw a nice straight line with my ruler, and then I'm going to put arrows at each end. Then I bring my ruler back up. Okay, this is getting repetitive, I know, but you have to do this. And then every centimeter, put marks. And I just make it a certain length, and I'll put 0 in the center. Or if the number is really big, we have to decide where that 0 is going to go. The absolute value of 3. Well, if I put 0 right here, I'm only concerned with values to the right because 3 is positive. So here's 1, here is 2, and here is 3. And I always like to go 1 over. Okay, so there is the number line. And if you want, you could also name these like so. Okay, so now I'm going to graph it. I'm going to plot the point at 3. And then I want to ask myself, how far is this from 3? Okay, so let me show you. Okay, so as you can see, the distance from this 3 to 0 is 3. So the distance between 3 and 0 is 3. And so therefore we can conclude, so remember the therefore is 3 dots in the shape of a triangle. That means therefore, the absolute value of 3 equals 3. So it says find the absolute value of 3, and this is how you write it. Absolute value of 3 equals 3. Okay, so let's continue with this. And so here's another one. Find the absolute value of -2.5. So you draw a number line, and then you put arrows on each end. Oops, still using, okay, right here and here, and here and here, and bring your number line up. So now notice this is in halves. So if I am going to count now, every mark here is going to be 1/2. Instead of integers, we're going to use rational numbers with a unit of measurement being 1/2. Okay, so let's get rid of this now. So if I put 0 over to this side a little bit, how about right here? 1/2 would be here. 1, -1/2, -1, -1 and 1/2, -2, -2 1/2, -3. Okay, so since we're doing -2 1/2, we can plot that now. It is right here. And 0 is right here. So how far is that? So as you can see, the distance between -2 1/2 and 0 is 1/2, 1, 1/2, 2 1/2, 2 1/2. So this between -2 1/2 and 0 is 2 1/2. Then over here, I'd say, therefore, the absolute value of -2 1/2 equals 2 1/2. Okay, so there is example 1. So now you should be able to do problem number 7 through 14. Okay, example 2 says to compare 2 and the absolute value of -5. So I'm going to use my highlighter here. The keyword here is compare. How do we do a comparison? Well, we have to draw a number line, another number line, like so. Okay, let's make that black. And then put arrows at the end. Okay, very repetitive. And then every centimeter, I'm going to put a mark. Okay, so there's our number line. So I will put, let's see, I'm going to start with -6 over here because my smallest number is -5. So I'm going to start at -6, -5, -4. And while I'm here, how about I just plot that point? There's -5. Okay, and I'm going to leave that there for now, but I'm going to explain something in a minute. Okay, -3, whoops, got to switch back to black. -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. Okay, so I have the number -5, keep that in mind, and I have the number 2. So I'm going to graph 2. But remember, there's 2. The absolute value of -5 is the distance -5 is from 0. So from -5 over to 0 is a distance of 5. So then if I move this over to here, then the absolute value of -5 is 5. Does that make sense? So now I'm going to erase this dot. We don't want -5. We want the absolute value of -5. So the absolute value of -5 is 5. And we're comparing 2 and the absolute value of -5, which means compare 2, which is 2 away from 0, and -5, which is 5 away from 0. So now we have the point 2 and 5. Hopefully that makes sense to you. Because the absolute value of -5 equals 5. That's why I graphed this point. So now I want to know how far is it from 2 to 5, and the distance is 3. But what the question is to compare them. So I'm going to say here 2 is to the left of 5, period. Therefore, 2, and remember our boxes here from the last couple of chapter sections. Oops, not a circle, a box. Okay, so we put our box 2 and absolute value. What is going on here? 2 and absolute value of -5. So we're saying 2 and -5. 2 is, and as you can see, less than -5 because it's left. Okay, so 2 is less than the absolute value of -5. And that's how you do a comparison. Graph it, be careful with the absolute value, and then compare the number and its absolute value. And if it's left, it's less, and if it's right, it's greater than. Okay, now you should be able to do problem number 17 through 22. Okay, so example 3 is a real life application. And it says the table shows the elevations of several animals. So here's the animal and the elevation in feet. So shark, -4 feet, which means it's 4 feet below sea level. The sea lion, 5 feet. Seagull, 56 feet. Shrimp, -65 feet, way down on the bottom of the ocean. And a turtle is cruising at -22 feet. Okay. So they don't show the picture of all this, but just picture in a diagram that all of these things are in certain locations. So a sea lion is up 5 feet away from the water, up on a rock or something, and the seagull's flying in the air, and the shrimp is on the bottom of the ocean, and the turtle's swimming 22 feet underwater, and the shark is cruising at just 4 feet below the surface. Okay, so this is the table they gave us, and it says which animal is the deepest, explain. So again, you want a number line, but this time, since it's talking about depths and elevations, we're going to do a vertical number line. So I'll do it over here. Okay. So I'm going to draw a vertical number line with my ruler with arrows going both directions. And then I'm going to put marks every centimeter. Okay, like so. And let's just move this over here. All right, notice the numbers. You always want to look at the greatest number and the smallest number. So the smallest number is -65, and the greatest number is 56. So we want to, that's a difference of 120 roughly. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So if I go every 10, and that's how you try to figure out what your unit of measurement is going to be. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to start just a little lower than -65, and I'm going to start at -70. And then do increments of 10. Okay, so you fill this in. Okay, and notice 56 would be up here somewhere, but I went higher than the highest, and -65, I went to -70, so everything is going to be included. So now I want to graph these. So I'll switch to blue, and I'll just go in order. Shark is at -4. Well, -5 would be halfway between 0 and -10, so -4 would be just a little bit higher. So right here, I'm going to put a dot, and I'm going to put shark. And that is at -4. Okay, so there's the shark. And then the sea lion is at 5 feet above. So this is right here. So 0, 5, 10. This is the sea lion. And that's at 5. And then the seagull is 56 feet. So here's 50, 55 would be halfway. A little bit further up would be 56. So approximately there. And that is a seagull. And then shrimp is -65. That's halfway between 60 and 70 on the negative side. So here's -65, and that is a shrimp. Okay, and finally the turtle's at -22. So here's 20, -25 is here. So -22 is approximately here, not quite a quarter of the way. So -22 is turtle. Okay. So there we have it. So what does that mean? Well, here's what's going to happen. So we graph it all, and then we answer the question. And the question being answered would be right here. I'm just going to bring it in so I don't have to write all this. And it's not, I don't have the neatest writing with this pen. So you would say the lowest elevation represents the animal that is the deepest. The integer that is the lowest on the number line is negative 65. Okay. Therefore, which animal's the deepest? The shrimp. Okay, therefore, the shrimp is the deepest. And there we go. All right, and put a dot, no period. Okay, the shrimp is the deepest. Part B says, let's switch to, oh, I don't know, purple. Is the shark or the sea lion closer to sea level? So now we're comparing the shark and the sea lion. Okay, so sea level is right here. Sea level is 0. All right, so sea level's at 0. So here's what we would say. Because sea level is at 0 feet, we're going to use absolute values. The shark is 4 feet below sea level, so that's a negative absolute value of -4. How far below? The distance from 0 below, and the -4 absolute value of -4 is 4. And the sea lion is 5 feet above sea level. Well, how far is 5 from 0? In other words, the absolute value of 5 is 5. Is the shark or sea lion closer to sea level? Well, which is closer to 0, 4 or 5? So since 4 is less than 5, so that's what you'd say, since 4 is less than 5, comma, the shark is closer to sea level. Than the sea lion. Okay, and there's the answer to example 3. Now you should be able to do problem number 34 in your exercises. Okay, so that brings us to the end of chapter 6.4, and these are the problems you should have done in your exercises. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.